Howdy, y'all. It's Kim. I've been gone for a while. I had to basically go to Iowa to kind of help my daughter finish up packing so then she can move back down here to Texas. And that took about, well, 5 days. I went last Wednesday, got back on Sunday, turned the car in Monday. It's just like a lot. um, She was there for like 10 years and finally moved back home. So I haven't been able to record very much. I've been watching a lot of podcasts, especially while I was driving and stuff back to Texas. And that was a whole other thing. It took me from Iowa through Missouri to Arkansas, I think. And then it took me through parts of Oklahoma. I was like, where in the hell is this damn GPS taking me? So I'm back and I'm going to keep trying to record. We still got things to kind of help her with at the house that we're renting to her. So, without further ado, of course, Bryan Kohberger, he's been back in the news. I know it's been probably about 3 weeks since he refiled like a plea, trying to withdraw his guilty plea. But here's the original document that was filed in court. And he answered the questions in the affirmative while he was in court. So I'm not sure how this is going to stand or if they're even going to get a new trial. I don't know. I haven't heard anything recently. Most people are saying no, he may not get it, but our judicial system's so screwed up anyway. I'll probably be like, oh yeah, the attorney was ineffective. He even said that he was happy with her. I guess not happy like he didn't say that verbatim, but he was like, that he understood that the counsel was helpful, blah, blah, blah. And he was making the plea, you know, freely and with sound mind. So I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, this was the original. Let's read through this. Then we'll go and read through his document that he's trying to file now. So this was filed July 2nd, 2025. 4th Judicial District, Ada County, Trent Triple, Clerk of the Court, and then by Deputy Clerk Renee Waters. So Latah County Prosecutor's Office, William M. Thompson, or W. Thompson, sorry, I can't read, Jr., Prosecuting Attorney Ashley S. Jennings, Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Joshua D. Hurwitz, Special Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, Latah County. I'm not going to worry about the address. You can see it there. And the District Court of the 4th Judicial District of the State of Idaho in and for the County of Ada, excuse me. I was going to say ADA. Duh. State of Ohio plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger, defendant. And this is the case number. Here's the plea agreement. The State of Idaho by and through the Latah County. That's how I've heard them pronounce it. Latah County. Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the defendant Bryan C. Kohberger and the defendant's attorney Ann Taylor stipulate to the following plea agreement. Here we go. The defendant will enter guilty pleas to the following counts: burglary, Idaho code, whatever. 8 subsection, hold on, code, subsection 18, 1401, 1403, a felony in count 1, murder in the first degree, Idaho County, 18, 4001, 4002, 3, 4, a felony count, felony in count 2, murder in the first degree, Idaho, code, subsection 18, 4001, 2, 3, 4, a felony in count 3, murder in the first degree, Idaho code, subsection 4001, 2, 3, 4, felony in count 4, and murder in the first degree, Idaho code, subsection 18, 4001, 2, 3, 4, felony in count 5, as stated in the indictment. The defendant will be sentenced to 10 years fixed for count 1. I think that was the burglary. Yeah, the burglary. It's kind of going backwards. It's like burglary here, and then you're thinking, oh, felony, and they've got anyway, it just sounds confusing. Okay, the defendant will receive fixed consecutive life sentences for counts 2 through 5. The state may seek restitution orders regarding funeral expenses and crime victims' compensation reimbursement in an amount to be determined. Defendant understands the nature of the charge to which the defendant agrees to plead guilty and acknowledges that he is not being coerced into entering his plea of guilt. There's certain consequences of pleading guilty, including the maximum penalties that may be imposed and any mandatory minimum penalties. Sorry. And that by pleading guilty, he waives his right to a jury trial, to confront accusers, and to refrain from incriminating himself. I mean, he was already pled guilty, so I don't see how this would even stand, but okay. Defendant further acknowledges that he is satisfied with his legal representation. That's important because where he's going to say now he's got ineffective assistance of counsel, that's not true. He's saying that he's satisfied. Has reviewed with his attorney all possible defenses, and by his plea of guilty voluntarily waives those defenses and all claims based upon his constitutional rights. Defendant understands that if he were to proceed to trial, he would have a right to appeal, including but not limited to any issues decided by the court prior to the defendant's guilty plea, including any rulings on the admissibility of evidence, the judgment, including the finding of guilt, and any issues regarding the guilty plea and the sentence. Okay, so let's see. Defendant understands that if he were to proceed to trial, he would have a right to appeal. Okay. All right. So further, the defendant understands that if he were to proceed to trial, he would have the right to file a motion under Idaho Criminal Rule 35 seeking a reduction of the sentence. The defendant hereby knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently waives all rights to appeal any and all issues in this case and waives the right to file a motion pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 35. We probably need to look that up. I didn't think about it. This is the entire agreement and understanding between the parties so stipulated this 30th day of June 2025. William W. Thompson Jr., Ann Taylor, Ashley Jennings, and then Bryan C. Kohberger. Okay, so that's what he did in court. Now let's look at what he's saying now. All right, so this is 8 pages. So this is resident name, Bryan C. Kohberger. There's his IDOC number, the Department of Corrections. This is 8:34 a.m., July 27, 2026. I guess that's when they received it. Trent Triple, clerk by Katerina Moritz Gutierrez. Anyway, so the petitioner in the District Court of the 4th Judicial District of the State of Idaho in and for the County of Ada, Bryan C. Kohberger, petitioner versus State of Idaho, respondent. There's a case number. And then petition and affidavit for post-conviction relief, Judge Hippler. Okay, the petitioner alleges place of detention if in custody, Idaho maximum security institution, name and location of the court, which imposed judgment or sentence, Ada County Courthouse. There's West Street, West Front Street, Boise, Idaho. There's a case number. Okay, offense convicted, 4 counts of capital murder and felony burglary. The date upon which sentence was imposed and the terms of the sentence. Date of sentence, July 23rd, 2025. Terms of sentence, life without parole plus 10 years for the burglary. Okay. Check whether a finding of guilty was made after a plea. Yes, guilty. He said he was guilty. Do you appeal from the judgment of conviction or the imposition of sentence? No. If so, what was the docket number? Okay. State concisely all the grounds on which you base your application for post-conviction relief. So here we go. Ineffective assistance of counsel during criminal proceedings. Plea not knowingly or voluntarily enter because it was induced by unkept promises. And then plea not voluntarily enter because of threats asserted by petitioner's legal counsel. Oh my gosh. Our judicial system is so screwed up. If they give this guy a new trial based on this crap, man, you know it's corrupt. I'll have to go back and look and see if they've done anything because this has been about 3 weeks, like I said. Okay, prior to this position, have you filed with respect to this conviction petitions in state or federal court for habeas corpus? No. To present the body of the evidence. I think that's what that means. Any other petitions, motions, or applications in any other court? No. If you answer yes, nah, doesn't matter. He said no. Let's see. So he didn't answer the question either. So if you filed a prior petition for post-conviction relief in state court, explain why the claim in this position or petition were not included in the prior petition. He didn't. If your application is based upon the failure of counsel to adequately represent you, state concisely and in detail what counsel failed to do in representing your interests. He said he was happy with her. Remember, in the plea agreement. Failure to disclose of or review exculpatory evidence, i.e., unknown hair in Chapin's hand. You know, and I thought about that. What if it's like a dust bunny and somebody spent the night with Xana? I'm just saying, like, you know how dust bunnies get behind the head of the bed because I think his arm was down there. And what if it's somebody that just innocently spent the night with her, not sexually or any of that stuff, but who cares? But just somebody else spent the night and their hair shed in that spot, and his hand just happened to touch it because his hand was bloody. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it could happen. And then somebody innocent gets pulled into this whole case that had nothing to do with the murders. I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier because when I heard that. So anyway, during plea discussions, hold on, let's see, failure to disclose of or review exculpatory evidence, i.e., the unknown hair in Chapin's hand. During plea discussions, counsel's insistence that petitioner's plea need not be truthful. Why would your attorney tell you to lie? I'm just saying. That doesn't make any sense. And despite petitioner's vehement denial of actual guilt, promises made by counsel regarding LWOP or life without parole status, i.e., immediate contact, visits, freedom of movement and employment, and elaborate lies of death row life. Let's see. Are you seeking leave to proceed in form of papyrus, whatever that is, papyrus, that is requesting the proceeding be at county cost? So that's a county expense. That's just basically saying he needs a court-appointed attorney. And if your answer is yes, you must fill out a motion and affidavit for fee waiver. So he's saying yes. Basically, he's destitute, doesn't have the money for legal counsel. State provides one, county provides it, whatever. Okay. Are you requesting the appointment of counsel to represent you in this case? If your answer is yes, you must fill out a motion for the appointment of counsel and supporting affidavit as well as motion and affidavit fee waiver. So yes. So he needs a county or state appointed attorney, whatever. So he said yes. And then state specifically the relief you seek, a withdrawal of the guilty plea. I'm telling y'all, if he gets another trial after doing all of this, man, oh man, you know our system's corrupt. I'm just going to keep saying it. It said the disposition may be accompanied by affidavits in support of the petition, and then forms for this are available. And then dated this 22nd day of July, 2026, Bryan C. Kohberger, certification under penalty of perjury. I certify under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and correct. 7/22/2026. Bryan Christopher Kohberger, and then their signature. My handwriting's atrocious, so I can't really say much about his. So this is certificate of mailing. So he mailed a copy of this petition for post-conviction relief for the purposes of filing with the court and of mailing a true and correct copy via prison mail system to the U.S. mail system. And then to them, there may not be a whole lot of this stuff. Okay, so affidavit of facts in support of post-conviction petition. Oh, I gotta find that other. Okay, I gotta find all kinds of stuff. I'm kind of behind. Okay, state of Idaho, county of Ada, Bryan C. Kohberger, being first duly sworn on oath, deposed and says, it is hereby declared that during attorney-client discussions, most of which included all members of Bryan C. Kohberger's immediate family, petitioner was convinced to falsely confess to falsely confess to capital murder and felony burglary by coercion, disinformation, false promises, and the withholding of exculpatory discovery. The following is material to the inception of the plea. I think that's what it said. Counsel's failure to inform petitioner of exculpatory discovery received during plea discussions, namely clumps of unknown hair found in Ethan Chapin's hands, as well as a failure of further inquiry. Petitioner was convinced that actual guilt was not an important factor in considering plea acceptance. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Why would an attorney tell you to lie and say that you're guilty if you're not guilty? Why would they advise you? She could lose her license for, I guess, lying of omission or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but I would think that you're supposed to be above reproach, not lie, not inform your or advise your client to lie. So I'm not sure where he's going with this. Okay, so right here, hold on, let me just go back. Petitioner was convinced that actual guilt was not an important factor in considering plea acceptance. Death row was imminent and advised to lie. Petitioner was to gain a legal victory in entering a false plea. How is that even possible? That just does not make sense. Hold on, I want to take a picture of this. That is so stupid. Okay. Okay. A gross representation of and promises regarding what a life sentence would immediately afford petitioner, and a gross misrepresentation of death row. Why would you take life sentence over death row if you're supposed to be innocent? And why are you know what I mean? Why would he take the plea? Is that, I mean, hopefully I'm on the right track here because I don't understand what he's trying to say. That the lawyer told you to plead guilty because otherwise you're gonna go to death row. I mean, it's like some kind of I don't even know if it's even legal maneuvering that he's trying to do here because that doesn't make sense. So you won't go to death row, but you'll take 4 life sentences, but you're innocent. Is that jiving with everybody out there? I don't get it. Okay, so gross misrepresentation of and promises regarding what a life sentence would immediately afford petitioner, and a gross misrepresentation of death row in Idaho, including an elaborate fabricated story of counsel's horrific experience touring an actual 8x8 death row cell. Something communicated to petitioner and his family allegedly by, I don't know, maybe this is all, I don't know, allegedly by IDOC through counsel, thus constituting threats and promises made to induce a plea agreement in Bryan C. Kohberger certification under penalty of perjury. I certify under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and correct. Bryan Kohberger. And then there's the envelope that it was mailed in. Hold on, my phone is acting up here. Okay, nothing. All right. Well, anyway, I don't see how he would get another case. What do y'all think about it? I mean, I don't see how he could. But again, I will continue to say this. If he does, you know our justice system is corrupt. He said he was guilty. He wrote it out. He said he was happy with his attorney. He wrote that out. Everything was good. So let's see what happens. But I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.